At the end of the day, though, is this not going to stress Nigerians? You know, like they're saying everybody must from July. Everybody has to come and line up right now to submit their numbers.
Line up where?
I
dare them. I will not submit it. I'm saying it on the show. I will not submit my IMEI number. I won't submit it. Rubbish.
Welcome to episode 11 of Reactions. My name is Mr. Sal. Joining me today are my very good friends, Mr. Henry Oqua.
Thank you for having
me. And Mr. Houston Nwachukwu.
Yeah.
All right, guys. How you guys doing? Mr. Houston, how far have you been?
I've been good until yesterday when I developed a little waist problem. And my waist. Yeah, it was hurting me seriously from the back. Okay. I don't know. Somebody told me it was actually one of the symptoms of COVID-19, but I think
I've not heard that one before.
I think
waist
pain. I don't know.
I've not heard this type of lower waist pain.
I didn't say lower waist pain. I said waist pain.
Then your waist is low now. Like
waist pain, joint pains, like.
Who told you it's COVID?
It's online. It's everywhere. COVID symptom.
Yeah,
Did you check Google for your symptoms?
Go for test. I'm actually very healthy right now. I breathe. At least I'm breathing properly. So
please do not scare us. So we're not social distancing. Yeah. So
I'm socially distant from Houston.
How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm fine, thank you. Fine.
Just fine, thank you. I don't understand.
Yeah. I'm battling with this cold, but I'm good. I'm ready for.
You're having hot tea today.
Yeah, not having what Houston is having.
Okay.
What's Houston having?
What's Houston having?
Houston, you can tell them what you're having.
What's Houston having?
It's you guys are not serious, so please.
I can bring the empty
wherever we're having is nobody's business.
Yeah.
Anyway, my own week has been, I don't know, we lost a close family friend, yeah. Sorry. We've been suffering a lot of debts, you know. I was talking to one of my friends yesterday and we're saying like most of our parents' age mates are not really living past 60.
Yeah.
You know, and we're like, we don't know what's wrong with their generation. Yeah, there are a lot of them that I know have died, and this one died of cancer. So it's been heavy. But we're here to work today, so let's get straight to our issues for today. But before we go on there, please subscribe to Page 36 TV on YouTube. Like this video, share, please comment and support us. Yeah. Thank you. So
you were talking about subscribing, and Henry was pointing there. I remember last week you actually, I think you put it somewhere around there. I don't know where you put that thing. Like
I don't know where that subscribe is, but please.
The subscribe button is there. Yes.
That's the one.
Especially people that watch from Facebook, because we have more views on our Facebook stuff. So please go to our YouTube and click subscribe and notification.
Like that bell button.
Like, share, and like.
All right, let's get to business for today. So, a radio broadcaster, and human rights advocate, Ahmed Issa, commonly called Ordinary President. Do you guys know this guy?
Yeah, I listen to his.
I don't know him anyway. So they say he's a host of a popular show called Brekete, family radio show that deals with human rights abuses in Abuja. So he was caught on camera physically assaulting a lady who allegedly poured kerosene on a little child and threatened to set the child on fire, claiming the child was a witch. So in the video on Sahara TV on YouTube, Ordinary President, as he is popularly called, could be seen slapping the lady after interrogating her and not getting the answers he wanted. He later issued an apology statement after facing backlash from the public on the social media. He has, however, not been arrested by the police till today. I've not heard about his arrest. So part of his apology statement reads, so he said, I apologize to everybody that I have offended in one way or the other. Please, I am a human being. I am bound to make mistakes. I was triggered by the zeal and passion in me. As a human being, even computers tend to malfunction. There is blood flowing in my veins. I tend to get emotional sometimes. So he goes on to say, whenever I do anything out of control, on the basis of emotions, I always apologize when I realize it and correct the mistakes. For those disappointed in me, please forgive me. For those I have offended, please find a place in your heart to forgive me. I am only but a human being. I know some people will say that there is nobody that sent him to do human rights work, forgetting that government organizations that are supposed to get justice for ordinary Nigerians are not doing their work. I do not know how this will sound to you all. I did not consult with anyone, but by the 1st of May which is next month, we will stop the program.
This is May.
Since the program is their problem.
This is May. Oh, 1st of May.
So that's June.
It's probably referring to.
Yeah, so he says from the 1st of next month, which is June. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, so he says he's going to stop the program since he says the program is their problem. Did you see the video, Henry?
Yes,
did you guys see the video?
I did.
Yeah, please. What did you think about the whole incident that happened, Henry? If you want to go first.
So I was watching how Nigerians reacted on social media.
Okay.
I think we are becoming more aware, and it showed in this video. You know,
aware of what? You say we're becoming more aware.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to now. Ahmed Issa's reaction. In the discussion online, you could see that people were trying to make the difference between the work that he has been doing and this low moment for him. You understand? Now, I am
so to cut you short, is that the first time he has? You say you follow his show.
Well,
this is the first time he has physically assaulted somebody.
This is the first time I've ever seen it or heard of it. Now, Ahmed, what ordinary president does, Sal we can't do without what he does. And honestly, I'm very, very serious. We can't do without what he does, because for some of us, we can approach the security institutions, we can approach the judiciary and get some form of respite for whatever losses we may have incurred. There are people who are down there at the bottom of it all. Ahmed Issa is their saving grace. You understand? There are families where the wife has been beaten close to death, and it is the Brekete show that gets that woman some form of justice. You understand? There are people who have lost their gratuity, lost everything. In fact, you see stories of people who have been oppressed by one other person because that person has access to the police to arrest them or something. There was a woman, I think, some months ago that arrested a whole family, including the children. The police actually went there, picked the husband, picked the wife, picked the children, and locked them up.
Wow.
Because one person that has money. You understand? So when that thing came on the show, I was happy to see that, yes, they removed that person, they released that family, petitioned the person. So I think what he's doing, I hope he doesn't stop the show. I honestly hope he doesn't stop the show. Another thing I want to point out here is that, isn't this rare for somebody to come out and unequivocally apologize for his actions in public? Someone in the public space. Normally, the response we get from people who are in public light is, I'm here, nobody can ask me to do anything, nobody can correct me, nobody can, criticize me. But I think honorary president is being exemplary here. If more of our leaders could honestly admit that they've done wrong in certain things and ask for forgiveness, I think we'll be in a better place. Of course, I condemn his slapping. I saw the build up to it, in that video. You could tell that the people who were around him were telling the others, shift. He wants to do something. You understand? So
yeah, they were asking the camera to go.
Exactly.
Well,
I felt it was premeditated. So it wasn't something that just, happened like that.
It was like, I'm done with you. And the then, slap went off. But do you think, you've spoken so highly of him? I don't really know him like that. But do you think he deserves any punishment at all? Should he be punished? Yeah,
I think if we use him as an example, whatever the law says should happen to him, if we do that, I think more people, especially his own audience, will understand that you cannot set a child on fire and walk away scot-free. Do you understand? Now, I'm using that incident which he was reacting to. Now, when they see that the person they run to for succor is not above the law, I think they will think twice. You get so based on that, yes, he should be punished. His apology is fantastic. We are happy that he has apologized, but let the law actually take its course. I saw the NBC also invited him
Okay.
They said they're inviting him to come and explain what's happened.
But why did the police not get involved though? I don't understand. Like the police did not arrest him. This is assault though.
Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation.
That's his own regulator. No, I think what Ahmed Issa is saying at the end of the statement is, I do not know how this will sound to you all. I did not consult with anyone, but by the first of next month, we will stop the program since the program is their problem. Do you understand?
Which is dear here.
Now, in the course of his work, Issa has called a lot of government officials to respond to things that they would not. You hear police collected money from a family, 500 and something thousand naira. They've not seen who they are looking for, blah, blah, blah. And he will follow everything down. Families that have lost lands, families that have been displaced without compensation and whatnot. He's actually fighting for the ordinary man. You understand?
Yeah.
So
you think those big people want to use this opportunity to ground him right now?
Yes.
Those people that he fights against.
I suspect that's what he's referring to here. So,
Mr. Houston, what's your take on the entire video that you watched?
First of all,
his apology as well.
First of all, I'd like to commend Ahmed Issa. I'd like to commend him for his person and for how well he's been able to run this show. Because in the past, we've had human rights activists, we've had human rights lawyers, and all that are like not easily accessible. And in this time, we have one. I think he's the greatest of our time because we have one that's easily accessible. We all know where Human Rights radio station is. You can always go there and you will see him in person. And Ahmed Issa is somebody who has fought for the people, like he's literally fought for the people. He's done so much. I don't know how he's human, for crying out loud. We're all humans. And secondly, we're Africans, we're Nigerians as well. There's nobody in this studio right now, and there's nobody in this, or there are very few Nigerians who say they've never been spanked in their life. Do you understand? And I understand that being spanked by your parents is completely different from being spanked by a random stranger. But Ahmed Issa in this situation, in this particular case, wasn't really a random stranger. The case was actually brought to him. And it wasn't brought to him for him to reprimand that girl with by slapping her. But, I mean, if you understand what really happened, sometimes we're unable to control our emotions. Sometimes it's not just an emotion. Sometimes it stems from a particular place. This was a small girl. Everybody seems to have forgotten everything. Like everyone seems to have forgotten all the good that Ahmed Issa has done because of one good he did by slapping somebody. One good. I call it one good. Because look, that's a child we're talking about. There's so much going on in this country with regards to violence. People are dying every day. People are being killed. And yet, we call Buhari. With the whole thing, what that girl played out there with that little child.
Yeah.
Doesn't it tell you that every Nigerian has a little bit of Buhari in them? Yes, because if you call Buhari, if you say Buhari is, because everybody, see, Buhari is on the lips of every Nigerian right now. Buhari. You think Buhari is actually the problem? Look at this. This is somebody who. This is Desmond Elliott. Thank you. This is not even. This is somebody that's not even attained political power. What if that lady had somehow she was able, like Providence smiled at her and she's able to chair something tomorrow? If she, at her age, at that position, she's been able to pour kerosene on top of a child, tie the child, and then set the child's hair on fire, what do you think that person would do if she was in a position of power? Yeah. Do you understand? Okay, now, I don't understand. You said NBC called him. Is it because they're the regulatory body?
The regulated media.
Okay. Yeah. But then when Elisha Abu, a senator, slapped somebody, nobody did anything about it.
Yeah, but NBC didn't have anything.
No, that was not NBC's jurisdiction.
It wasn't NBC's jurisdiction.
The Senate actually attempted
because
to try.
He's on a show. He's on a radio show under NBC.
Man, everybody seems to be calling out this man right now.
We can't just be calling NBC. The police is the one that is supposed to step in any of the cases anyway. Senator
Elisha Abu had not done a single thing that we see. I saw Elisha Abu's video campaigning with can coke. He was giving people can cokes. That was what he campaigned with. I don't know what that man has done for the people of Adamawa State, where he comes from. But he came into a sex store in Abuja here and slapped somebody, and it was on camera. Nobody did anything about it.
So, Mr. Houston, the fact that nobody did anything about it.
I'm not saying two wrongs to make it right.
Okay. It's
not okay. It is not okay. It is not okay. See, you bring something to someone. Do you understand? Our people say, river, they swallow person. Now who river see in leg, now they swallow. Until you take yourself to the river. So they brought the case to him, for crying out loud. If that's his style, It's his style. People have done worse in this country for crying out loud.
No.
Listen.
No, we cannot.
Listen.
We cannot. We're not going to sit down there and
I'm not advocating.
There's a law and there are procedures to go through.
Sal, if somebody comes into your house right now for judgment, listen. If somebody people in the north, in northern Nigeria, people are being condemned to death for blasphemy, for crying out loud. Is it right?
Yeah, but is
that against human rights?
That's their law, though, the Sharia law there.
Okay, it's under the Sharia law.
Laws that
now, I'm not advocating what's it called, violence.
Because at the end of the day, we cannot ignore the laws of the country.
Sorry, not Elisha. I'm not advocating violence because ordinary Ahmed-Issa has already apologized. Okay. I'm not going to go against that. But what I'm trying to tell you is, I think we are. They say if you want to kill a dog, you give it a bad name. That's what everybody seems to be doing to him right now, and it's wrong. Like it's absolutely wrong. He has apologized. He should be forgiven. He shouldn't be punished. By my standards, I don't think he should be punished.
Why?
Because he has come outside to apologize to everybody, every concerned citizen.
So once you do something bad in Nigeria, you come out and apologize, then you should be forgiven. Because I've seen in other societies, people do wrongs, they apologize, they still resign, or they face whatever punishment. It's an apology supposed to clean whatever wrong.
I think if anything is to happen to ordinary Ahmed-Issa right now, with regards to punishing him and the rest, I think the lady herself should be in charge of that. She should either press charges if she wants to. It's not for you, it's not for me. Ahmed-Issa is a human rights activist. Majority of the people who are speaking against what he did are not even human rights activists. What have you done for Nigeria, for human rights in Nigeria, for you to come out and say, I keep calling this Elisha Abu. Yeah. What's his name? Ordinary Ahmed-Issa should be punished. Let the girl take it. Let her take it up. If she has a case against him, then let her take it up. Just like a case will be taken up against her too. So,
all right, Henry Oqua. Yes, going off Houston's point right now, we have this culture in Nigeria here. We don't easily term it as domestic violence or domestic abuse, but there's a culture where we domestically violate each other. Mm-hmm. Be it physical assault or let's leave the sexual one. This physical assault one, you have house helps, you tend to beat them. You even have grown-up ones that are not even kids. We have this habit where we use our hands on people, and it has become a norm. Are we supposed to accept this thing as just normal? Is it a normal thing, even if we have accepted it as a norm? Because I understand some people might not even know that this is wrong. I had a friend one time that was working somewhere in a hotel, and the manager slapped him. And I was like, hey, are you not going to do anything about it? He felt like if he did anything about it, he would lose his job. So what can we do about this culture, like where we have this habit of hitting people with our hands? Yeah.
I think you're very right. Yeah. It's endemic. It's in very rare cases that you would find that somebody does that, and you find like the person who has been assaulted will even go ahead and take this person, bring charges against this person and whatnot. I remember being in university and seeing a lecturer slapping one of my colleagues, and the guy dialed the lecturer right back.
Straight up.
Both of them were removed.
That's who was settling.
Both of them were removed from the exam hall, and at the end of the day, the lecturer got suspended. The student came back and completed his papers and stuff. Now. I think before we continue this conversation about domestic violence and stuff, we need to understand that Nigerians have a low, how do I put it now? Their view of themselves is not as high as it should be. Whether it is the system, whether it is the culture, you are in a vehicle, somebody who probably has two or three strands of public transport now, 2 or 3 strands of gray hair, expects that you will stand up. You who got to the bus before him, will stand up for him to sit. I think it comes from all of these things, all of these dynamics, what's his name? Malcolm Gladwell, in his book, The Outliers, explained what this does in the long run for societies. You understand? Societies that are, not just subservient, but have this whole master-servant kind of balance. It doesn't help. It doesn't help. Yeah, because when you get to critical moments, the person who you have abused may be in a position to say, this thing you're doing is wrong. He will not be able to speak up. He will not be able to speak up. And both of you can perish as a result. Imagine a driver whose Oga slaps him on a daily basis. The Oga will now say, I'm in a hurry. Follow so and so place. He probably knows that place is not safe, but he cannot open his mouth and talk. What happens when they go down that road? You get? So I think this whole dynamic, we will need to revisit it. But from the family level, we need to start doing away with it. We need to start doing. Children are human beings as well. Domestic aides are human beings. We should treat each other with some level of
we
dignity.
need to respect each other. We can correct each other without even kids. You can correct kids without just being.
You're right. You just reminded me of the time where Wole Soyinka sat down on somebody's.
I remember that one as well.
I was expecting. And people were like, well, funny enough, Wole Soyinka actually knew he was wrong and stood up. But it was other older Nigerians that felt like, why would the young boy do that kind of thing? Don't you know Wole Soyinka is? For crying out loud, I know Wole Soyinka is, but please let him stand up for my seat and we'll talk.
You know, my question to people like that is, where has this thing gotten us to?
Yeah.
Look at it. They say you must be respectful, you must be this, you must be that. Look at the societies where people are able to stand up to power and talk back to power and say, no, what you're doing is wrong. Look at how advanced they are. Look at where we are. And this thing has seeped into every aspect of our lives. It's happening in church, it's happening in school, it's happening at the workplace. Why would I look at my contemporary, my colleague in the office and want to feel like, no, I'm supposed to be under his shoe or something?
And I feel the old people sometimes, they use that thing to blackmail young people. And I don't fall for that blackmail at all. They know they are clearly wrong. They want to play that age.
They tell you, I'm older than you and I'm older than you forever. So when would I ever become a senior? When would I until you die?
Your mother, you're talking to me like this. So like those things don't work.
Please, I want to use this opportunity to say, if ordinary medicine is to be punished, fine, but please, it has to be done by the person, by the victim, not any other person. It has to be done by the victim.
But it depends, though. If it's a criminal assault, the state can take it up. You know, so if she wants to sue civilly, I doubt anything will come out from this anyway. Bottom line, at the end of the day, we can forgive him. You know, you guys have spoken so highly of him. He has apologized voluntarily on his own. You know, I think we can pardon him, but we should not endorse this behavior. We have condemned the behavior. I think we can move on. You know, at least other people can learn from this. Why are you smiling?
Hopefully.
I'm smiling because you condemned the behavior. I did condemn it.
Oh,
it's fine. It's fine.
Please, we condemn that act.
Please, reactions podcast.
Reactions.
I'm an ordinary president.
All right, let's move on. We don't have time today. So on Wednesday night, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, in a one-on-one interview on Channels Television's Politics Today, compared the ban on open grazing by the southern state governors in their region with northern governors banning spare parts trading in the north. Totally condemning the move by the southern state governors and declaring it unconstitutional. This is what he said. I'm just going to read the quote from him. So he said, it is about constitutionality within the context of freedoms enshrined in our constitution. Can you deny a right of a Nigerian? He was asking. So it is as good as saying maybe the northern governors coming together to say that they prohibit spare parts trading in the north. Does it hold water? Does it hold water for a northern governor to come and state expressly that he now prohibits spare parts trading in the north? If you're talking about constitutionally guaranteed right, the better approach to it is perhaps go back and ensure that the constitution is amended. The freedom and liberty of movement, among others, is established by the constitution. If by an inch you want to have any compromise, the better approach is to go back to the National Assembly for open grazing to be prohibited. So before I get the reaction from you guys, I'm just going to read what the section of the Constitution that guarantees our right of freedom of movement. The section says that every citizen of Nigeria, it doesn't say cattle, doesn't say sheep, it doesn't say foreigners. Doesn't say foreigners. You know, the talk about Fulani herdsmen. Even the government has come out sometimes to allude that they're foreigners. So it doesn't say foreigners. So the section says that every citizen of Nigeria is entitled to move freely throughout Nigeria and to reside in any part thereof, and no citizen of Nigeria shall be expelled from Nigeria or removed or refused entry thereby or exit therefrom. So, did you guys watch this channel's interview? Let me just put it out there, yeah. Like page 36 were the first to put this out there from channels, you know. So the other people put it yesterday when? I think I was watching on Wednesday night.
Yes.
Yeah. Other people put it yesterday. I was watching on Wednesday night, and I really, when he said that part, I ran with that part to put that out there, you know. So, Oqua, what do you think about what the AGF is saying here, comparing the ban on open grazing in the south by the southern governors, saying that it doesn't hold water, it is unconstitutional, giving an example to back his argument to say, what if the northern governors come out right now to ban peppers trading in the north, referring to the Igbos?
So honestly speaking, I'm tired of talking about Buhari, Malami.
No, this is not Buhari, please.
No, it is. It is.
Buhari.
It is because on so many issues where rights of Nigerians have been abused systemically, the government has not said anything. The moment we are saying we don't want cows entering our hospitals again, the federal government has been activated. Do you understand? Now, for an officer, I think he's actually in line. He's in the succession line.
For president.
In the absence of certain key officers, he's the person that takes over. Now look at the caliber of person that you have in office that is sounding the war drums to the northern governors.
A senior advocate of Nigeria.
Exactly.
I watched him and I was like, he's serious.
He's telling the northern governors that this is how to react. That's what he's saying. Do you understand? If the southern governors have sat down and said, listen, we don't want cows in hospitals anymore. We don't want cows roaming around freely.
What are you saying in hospitals?
You didn't see that video?
I saw the video though, but...
if that doesn't make you want to stop open grazing, I don't know what else should.
Wow.
Imagine if it's like, that's technically a China shop where that boom got into. Supposing something puts that cow off in that place where people are in their hospital beds, what do you think will happen to them?
They let the chopper spray.
Do you understand?
I saw that thing, I could not. I'm like, is this Nigeria? Are
it
you
is
guys
Nigeria.
serious?
Do you understand? Now,
and I saw a human being inside. That's why I'm like, this is a hospital for human beings.
You're not understanding. It was a human being that was holding the camera, following the cow. See? So human beings were actually, there's not like the cow entered and CCTV caught it. No. Now, I think Malami is shameless, and he has shown that in the presidency, when they talk about South, they think Igbo. That's what he thinks. Listen, let me read his quote straight up. So it is about constitutionality within the context of the freedoms enshrined in our constitution. Can you deny the right of a Nigerian? No, you can't deny the right of a Nigerian. However, it is as good as saying maybe the northern governors coming together to say that they prohibit peppers trading in the north. Does it hold water? Does it hold water for a northern governor to come and state expressly that he now prohibits peppers? So how do you put something that has taken the lives of so many people that you have not been able for once, say you've arrested so and so people who were responsible for so and so killings? Let's not forget Agatu, Kaduna, several cases in Kaduna, Ondo, Oyo, all over the country. You understand? All over the country, this thing has become a menace. How can you be the last person to see it? How can you be the last person? You get so.
And before banditry in the Southwest, the people of the Southwest were not calling for secession. It's until they started this whole entire nonsense, and it just baffles me that they don't even see the importance of these lives that are being wasted, be it being raped or being killed. Like, you're not considering that at all. Like, you're just going all out to defend your brotherhood, in my opinion. Mr. Houston, what did you think about this AGF's comment? Dragging it to the Constitution and trying to back it with the Constitution.
Now, first of all, you know very well, I'm not so sorry about what I'm about to say, but then about an arbitrarily written military constitution, I do not endorse the constitution. I happen to abide in Nigeria, so I happen to live in Nigeria, so I might have to abide by the constitution. But it doesn't necessarily mean I uphold the constitution, because by my standards, it's an arbitrarily written military constitution. But then the constitution also makes provisions for citizens to protect themselves, right? Okay. If the constitution makes provisions for citizens to protect themselves, I think the herder-farmer conflict has only become imperative. It has only become a national issue of concern to government officials since the citizens have decided to start protecting themselves.
Yeah.
It is only all along when people were dying, just like Henry rightly said. Since all the time people were dying, it was not a national issue. But now that people have decided to start protecting themselves, it has become a national issue. I think it's unintelligent for Malami, the Attorney General of the Federation, to compare something that takes life from people to something that actually gives life to people. So how do you compare spare parts dealing that gives life to people to what's it called? Aggressively going into people's farms and destroying their property and taking life from people? Like, how do you compare these two things? So it's quite unintelligent. I'm sorry, sir, you might be a son, but then I'm seeing things at the grassroots. You're somewhere in a cool AC room chilling, so you probably don't understand what the people's plights are. People are dying. People have been dying for so long. These people, they walk into people's farm, and when you tell them, see, you're spoiling my crop, this is how I feed. I don't carry cows around. I don't head. I'm not a pastoralist. You are a pastoralist. Why don't you move her, take it somewhere else, leave my farm? And you know the funny thing, before the call for the call for a ban, or before the ban on grazing in the South, people weren't even saying don't move around with your cows. People are always saying avoid people's property, avoid people's farms. We eat our crops, you eat your cows, you drink their milk. Mind your business, stay here. But it was a problem still for these people. And then the government didn't do anything about it. Now the people are saying we're going to have to start protecting ourselves, and the government is now saying it's a problem. And how do you compare it? Like, I can't till this point, I can't see the nexus between something that gives life to people and something that takes life from people. How do you compare spare parts dealing? Now, I'm not even going into the tribalistic aspect, because, see, I'm done talking about that. This is something they've been doing for long. When they hear South, they hear Igbo. When they hear South, they refer to the Igbos. It doesn't really concern me. But what I'm talking about right now is, how do you compare taking your cows, forcefully stepping on people's crops, into people's house, people's homes, hospitals, as Henry rightly said, scaring people away, crossing our roads in the capital city of the nation, scaring people? How do you compare that with somebody peacefully paying for his own shop to sell his wares that you will still buy?
Yeah, you will still tax.
And you will still tax.
Because somebody said these Igbo traders or spare part traders, they pay taxes.
Okay, let's keep
these other people don't pay taxes.
Let's keep the ballistics here now. Yeah. You said, Malami, people, how if the northern governors, because I understand you're typically calling for northern governors to ban selling of spare parts, but trust me, I know the Igbo man will still survive however you do it. This is not the first time. If you say you want to ban selling of spare parts, this is not the first thing the Igbo people trading that in the north that you've actually put a ban on. There are some states in the north where they don't sell alcohol. And Igbo people these are some people's mainstay. These are some people's economic mainstay. These are some people's livelihood. You come in there with your Hisba police, break the alcohols that they pay tax from. Break everything. When they build hotels, you say they are prostituting, they are encouraging prostitution and all that. Which recently one Hisba police officer was even caught in a hotel with a lady and he's been kicked out. So anyway, that's a different thing from the lady. But I'm trying to say, these are people's businesses. This is not the first time that the North has actually had to put a ban on a southern business, a typical southern business in the North. Now they're saying, and these things are not even harmful to your people, but you consider them harmful. Okay, now we've seen one business that's being run by the North in the South, and it's harmful to the people, and they're saying, no more. Now I want to really talk to the Métis Allah people now, the people who actually have cattle, that move around with cattle. Have they ever sat down to overhaul people's or their leaders, like their political leaders, the Métis Allah I'm referring to now? Have they ever sat down to overhaul how much care these people have for them, or how much consideration their political leaders actually have for them? Because I've never seen where somebody like Malami, who is in capacity of or who can actually do this, who has the capacity to do this, think of carrying, say, 3 or 4 or 5 or 1 million Métis Allah representatives, carrying them to Friesland Campina in the Netherlands to see how they make pig milk, how they use, like, take them to see ultra-modern dairies and how milk is being processed and how meat is actually being processed. I've never seen any northern leader who has said, come, this archaic style of carrying cows around is actually bad. I can teach you how to industrialize this thing. I can teach you how to make an industry out of this thing. Let me take you to Friesland Campina in Netherlands, or let me take you to Nestle in Switzerland and show you how these people process this thing in the 21st century. You don't necessarily have to take your cows all the way from Sokoto down to Lagos. This is endangering your life. You shouldn't even do this. Come and do this. I've never seen them do this. Instead, they come out and they say, no, it is wrong. No, it is wrong. Like, if the South bans grazing, the Mieti Allah people will come after the politicians. Like, I mean, your leaders, Mieti Allah, your leaders, your political leaders, the people in power do not even have your interest at heart. They do not even help you.
Yeah, because why are they sleeping in the bush?
Why are you sleeping in the bush for crying out loud? Why wouldn't I expect people like Malami to make intelligent advocacy for their people? Like, our people sleep in the bush.
Yeah.
They don't even say things like that. Our people are threatened by wild animals and all that.
They will defend and say it's their
They will come out and say
they like it.
Instead, they'll come out and say,
do not
stop.
They offer those people better lives, they will not accept
For
it.
crying out loud. It is only in the north. Yeah. It is. See, let me tell you, I'm a Port Harcourt guy, and I know one thing in Port Harcourt. If we call somebody Oga today, we don't expect to call you Oga tomorrow. If we call you Oga today, it's because we want some other person to call us Oga tomorrow. It's a progression. We don't want to say Oga. We don't want the answer yes sir for life. We don't want that. We want to be able to call somebody Oga today because you make our lives better and we'll become Ogas tomorrow. It's only in the north I've seen where somebody is yes sir today, yes sir tomorrow, yes sir forever. Their leaders do not help them at all. Yeah, you're coming out to tell us that it is wrong to ban open grazing for cows. How about discussing with the southern governors and saying we northern leaders are going to purchase lands in your states for these people? They are not even talking about that. All they're saying is allow our people to roam freely. Let our people enter your hospitals. Let them enter your classrooms. Let them chase students out of classrooms in Anambra states.
Because that brings me to this point. Because they just banned open grazing. They didn't say leave, but the way the northern governors or the northerners or these AGF are taking it right now is like, they asked them to leave the state. They said, do not roam around with your cows anymore because
that's not what they said.
What they said?
They said cows should not roam around eating grass. That's what they said now. That's what open grazing means.
Yes,
open grazing don't graze.
But do you understand what I'm saying? They're the ones carrying these cows. Yeah, but I'm saying, why is there an issue? That's where I'm going to right now. They have not asked you guys to go. Like, they didn't say go. But stop this act, do option B. Purchase lands. Purchase lands. Keep your cows here. Remain here even. They didn't say go. Like, remain here, but don't operate this way again. Yeah. Operate like this. Why is it a problem? I don't know. What's the big deal here? What's the issue?
There's this thing called delusion of grandeur in philosophy. Delusion of grandeur is when a particular group of people feel superior. They feel like they are better or they are stronger. It's a thing. Like, it's called delusion, which is actually like it's a false lie or something. Sorry, it's a lie. Lie can't be false. It's already false. A false ideology of yourself. That's how you perceive yourself. You see yourself as more important than some other person. This is why some episodes back I said, one of the biggest problems we have in Nigeria is mutual respect. There's no respect for each other. Some people think they're a lot more important than the other people, so they can actually do what they want. I think it is going to be a very big problem still if a southern senator comes up one day and says, I want to move a bill for the betterment of the lives of cattle rearers in Nigeria. I'm telling you, it's going to be a bill. It's going to be a big problem. If you say you want to actually move a bill for them, for their lives to be better, in the sense that you don't want them going to the bushes to risk their lives. You don't want them taking their cows indiscriminately on the street or on the roads, major roads and all that. You don't want this to happen. It's going to be a problem still. And they are not understanding when their leaders, their political leaders come out and say things like, make it look like they're actually fighting for them. They don't understand that these people do not have their interest at heart. Anybody who has your interest at heart will, by now, in 2021, realize that it is also risk. You're risking yourself. Wait, they keep talking about cattle rustling. If your cattle were in one place, would they rustle your cattle? If you keep your phone inside your house, will anybody come inside and steal your phone?
Exactly.
It's when you take you're walking around and you go to some very bad areas. That's why people see you and they try to do this. Now, there's one more thing I need to talk about.
Yeah.
Malami is saying the proper way shouldn't be governors coming together and saying and putting a ban on open grazing in the south. They should pass it through the National Assembly, the rubber stamp National Assembly, the same National Assembly that is inside Malami's pocket. please, I beg.
Even that argument has been invalidated. Like SAN, Michael Zekome spoke out and said the freedom of movement, that they talked about in section 41 only apply to human beings and not animals. So other SANs are speaking out, to
if they want, they should give all their cows certificates. In America, before you move dog from one state to another, you need to get a license. Dogs even have visas. They have passports. So what are you saying?
All right, let's move on, man. So the Senate on Wednesday considered a bill that seeks to prohibit the payment and receipt of ransoms for the release of any kidnapped person, imprisoned, or any person kidnapped, imprisoned, or wrongfully confined. According to the bill, Nigerians who pay ransom to kidnappers and kidnappers who receive ransom risk 15 years imprisonment. The Terrorism Prevention Amendment Bill 2021 scaled through second reading during plenary and is sponsored by Senator Ezenwa Francis Onyewuchi. Why are you laughing? There's Ezenwa now. Onyewuchi.
Ezenwa.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not Igbo. Yeah, defending the bill, he argued that kidnapping has become a fast and lucrative business in Nigeria and must be stopped by all means. This is what he said in a quote. History has shown that even where ransom is proven to have been paid, the life or safe return of a kidnapped victim may not be guaranteed. The continuous payment of ransom must not be encouraged. Oqua, do you agree with this? I sent you guys a video. I wanted you guys to watch that video just to have something to argue with this. So there was a video this week of a lady that was kidnapped. Yeah. And this is not this has nothing to do with bandits or whatever. It's no more kidnap for ritual, whatever, So they kidnapped this lady. She was narrating how she entered the vehicle, suffocated her. She appeared in the forest, tied. And she was kidnapped with other people. Those who could not provide money, to cut the long story short, were killed. They were not just killed, they had allergies, allegedly, according to her, that were calling the kidnappers to request for body parts, and they were pricing them on the phone. She only survived because her family could get this money and pay. So when I saw this, I felt like that was very interesting because this has nothing to do with banditry or whatever right now. There are other kidnappings that are going on right now, and he's right by saying that kidnapping is a booming business right now. I've heard they started kidnapping in Lagos, like people are hungry, but is this the solution? By placing 15 years imprisonment on those that pay the ransom to release their family members? Because when this lady was narrating a story, nowhere did they talk about going to the police. Yeah, because police, I felt, was ruled out in the whole equation. Like, they didn't think, these people are going to help us in any way. What the family had to do was to go and figure out how they're going to get their money, and they could rescue their relative, their loved one. Yes, what do you think about this bill?
I think it's just busybody, physically. In another time, in another place, it may make sense to prohibit paying ransom. Whatever it is our laws say, your law is only as strong as the enabling environment for it to be enforced. You understand? Now, security is in shambles. We understand that the kidnapping business has been on for a while. Yeah. Has been on for a very long time. You understand? But excuse me. But you can't tell people that after rescuing your loved one, you come and stay in prison for 15 years. It's just dull. It's just dull. I think Senator, what's his name? Onyewuchi. He's probably looking for something that they would say he sponsored something. I tried to look for what he had said before now, and how he had been useful in this Ninth Assembly. There's nothing I can find. So I think this is just his own 5 seconds of fame. So.
Yeah, but even if you're looking for something to, can't you think intelligently? Don't you have brain to think about a solution that will probably make sense in the ears of people? And I think it's such a wrong time for you to even bring up something like this,
Firstly,
Mr. Houston.
Firstly, I like to ask, so far with since 2006, 7, since kidnapping became a thing from the Niger Delta to the far north. I'd like to ask, who has been the highest, what's it called? Who has paid the highest amount of ransom? Who's paid the highest amount of ransom?
How will know now? There are some that don't come out in public now. There are some of these kidnappings
some
don't make the news.
Some don't come out, but we're dealing with facts now, not truth, because only God knows truth. So we're dealing with facts. What we've seen on the news, in the papers and everywhere, I think it's the government that's paid 800 million naira to bandits. That's the highest. Mr. Sal, you keep coming with this, you're allegedly paid. What's allegedly? Sheikh Gumi said it. He was there. Sheikh Gumi paid this money. And some governors came out later, clownishly came out later and said, oh my God, some politicians oh my God, I can't believe the bandits, after all the money we paid them, they went into the bush and went to get more guns with this money that we've been paying them. See, what you expect, it's not rocket science. You pay people money, that huge amount of money. Of course, they're coming back in a blitzkrieg. These people are coming back. But now my point to this particular topic now, my point with this particular issue now is Nigerians are in a desperate situation right now. I'm not talking about the government anymore because I don't know what controls the government. I don't know what motivates them, what inspires them. The government there are people on their own. The government are even a country right now. The Nigerian government is a country on its own. Yes.
Country. The
people, the citizens are another country on their own. I told you this before. I said, we have 3 categories of pure Nigerians. Now we have the Nigerians in diaspora, Nigerians in government, and Nigerians. So the Nigerians that are not in government now are a country on their own right now. And they are desperate. They're desperate for solace. Anyhow they can get it. Nigerians are beginning to protect themselves. They're beginning to secure their properties by themselves. You saw the IMEIs case in Oqua. The sister ran down to police with money that the friend sent from Lagos. The family didn't even have money. The friend who first knew about who got alert of her friend's kidnapping sent money to the sister, the friend's sister. Go to police. They went to police and what the police said? We don't have money for fuel. The girl had to call the friend, and we're at the police station, they don't have money. The friend in Lagos still had to run around Lagos. Somebody who went to Lagos for a job and had not even been paid her first salary started running around to rally money from people she didn't know in Lagos, got money and sent for a citizen to go and buy fuel for police vehicle, my brother. They won't ban things like that though.
Yeah, we had that.
She bought fuel for police vehicle. The police people went there and said, you know what? It's almost sunset. Tomorrow we'll continue our hunt for this thing. Come back tomorrow. See, the police people are not desperate to solve. They were not desperate to solve this case. It was this girl who was desperate to solve this case.
Yeah,
so when the citizen becomes a lot more desperate than the law enforcement agents, what do you expect them to do? See, people don't pay this ransom willingly. They pay it under duress. They pay it because they are trying to redeem somebody.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you understand? So I think it is insensitive. It is beyond insensitive for one senator who just seeks relevance to come out and say 15 years imprisonment. All right, you know what? My answer to them is, no problem. If anybody I know gets kidnapped and I run around and I pay that ransom, God forbid, it's better because clearly you don't care about the people. You don't care about the people.
I think if it's a government that was doing its work, the security apparatus was intact, everything was working well, then you can come and release this kind of statement.
I mean, this is a very insensitive statement.
And even the Greenfield one or those ones in the Greenfield that raised 60 million on their own and they were begging on the government, for you to even beg the government to come and pay balance for you, you should be begging the government should rescue your children. You should not be begging the government to come and give you balance. You know, and you cannot talk to parents that have children or kids that actually have parents that have been kidnapped to just sit down and do what? Sit down and wait for who? There's nobody to wait for. That's why they have to figure it out by themselves.
I'm appalled at what this senator is saying because you know the thing with Nigeria, typical Nigeria, they say
our leaders do, and that boils down to what you say. We need to know the kind of people we elect and put in power, because at the end of the day, we have to blame us. Somebody put this guy in power. You know, he came out for election, they voted him. Look at the kind of leaders we are putting in position.
15 years.
And this is just one of them that come out and just read some ridiculous proposals on the floor of the Senate or House of Reps.
Because he's never been kidnapped.
Usually when things like this happen, they will test him and see whether he will pay the ransom. I'm not saying that anybody should go and kidnap Senator or whatever his family.
Okay.
I can guarantee.
I'm laughing at Henry's jokes.
You're laughing at the jokes now, yeah?
I'm serious. You guys just watch this thing very closely.
Because it's easier said, they say now who they wear the shoe.
Of course,
exactly. you just come out to just talk nonsense. Like, realistically speaking, come on, man. Anyway, let's bounce. There have been numerous attacks on INEC offices, now almost reaching 30. Almost 30 offices right now of INEC have been attacked, especially in the southern part of the country, southeast and south precisely. In almost all the reported incidents, sensitive materials and vehicles are destroyed and the office buildings set on fire by the yet to be identified armed men. So INEC on Monday said that the attacks on its offices around the country may likely affect preparations for the 2023 general elections if they are allowed to continue by the security agencies. The INEC National Commissioner and Chairman of Information and Voter Education, Festus Okoye, said this, and I quote, "For us, we do not know the motives," speaking about the attacks, "and it is a huge setback on our preparation for some of the off-season elections we have and the 2023 general elections. We are worried that our preparations are being distracted and distorted. We are also worried because some of our officers are now living in fear in relation to what is going on." Mr. Houston, why do you think these INEC offices, we talked about police offices being attacked. Now there is clearly an attack on INEC. Yeah, obviously, you cannot attack, you can't burn one. Burn 2, 3, 4, 5, over 20, going to 30 offices. I think this week they had like 3 offices that were not just attacked, were set on fire.
Yeah.
What do you think is going on?
This thing is predominant in the southeast,
yeah,
right?
Southeast and south, because there's some Akwa Ibom reported cases as well.
Firstly, the Biafran interest in the southeast seems to be a lot more concrete than the south. But in the south, you have divided opinions. You have some people who support the cause, and you have some people who are against the cause for reasons best known to them. And clearly, they're secessionists, and a secessionist ambition is basically against the unions. It goes against the union.
Are you putting this on IPOB?
Clearly, who sits? No, I'll tell you why. I'll narrow it down to IPOB.
Yeah, because because INEC and police have not put it on anyone. They keep saying unknown.
Well, I know what I'm saying. I know I'm saying this. I didn't say IPOB. I said secessionist. But then, there's so many elements of secession right now in the country. So, secessionists, people who don't believe in the union, what they do, they go after government instruments. They go after government representatives, however they find them, wherever they find them. Started with police stations, now INEC offices, and police officers. It's even crazy. I understand that in some parts of the southeast, police officers are so scared, like you hardly find police officers on the road.
Even this one said the INEC officials now are scared.
Exactly. So if you happen to work for a government parastatal or government whatever it is, and you're in the southeast right now, it's unfortunate to say that your life is actually in danger, because they believe for you to wear the coat of the government shows that you are against their cause. And unfortunately, you're not in Abuja, that happens to be one of the most secure parts of the country. Your life is going to be in danger. So they're attacking the government by attacking instruments of the government. And also, you will see, if you notice, after Leicester City won the FA Cup in the UK, if you notice what Nnamdi Kanu what he said to Ian Acho and Ndidi, who were celebrating with the national flag, he insulted them and said things about them not knowing their identity and blah blah blah. It's a disgrace that they'll carry the national flag. So you see what I mean when I talk about secessionists. I'm not trying to narrow it down to IPOB, but from even the statements by secessionists, you understand that anything that shows a little support or an iota of support for the Union of Nigeria is a problem for secessionists. Not necessarily a problem, but they're against it. Now, I'm just praying that it doesn't get to a point where small children reciting the national pledge in school will even be at risk, or you using the Nigerian naira, because it's actually, in war, that's what it is. If you still have naira notes of the Union, it's a problem. So it's actually the dire need the southeast is in dire need of of solution for whatever is going on right now. I don't know how, but I think it still boils down to this administration that I don't like to talk about. Okay. These things have been there, these agitations have been there for quite some time, but it only became more radical with this present administration's actions and how they've been able to respond, their poor response to the whole disunity going on in the country.
Okay. Oqua, with these incidents of these attacks, continuous attacks, I think there are going to be more of these attacks still as well. Do you think there's a direct attack on the 2023 general elections in that region, South and the Southeast? Because I'm not hearing, maybe there are actually attacks on INEC offices in the North, but we've not heard anyone.
On the 29th, IPOB declared on the 29th or between 29th and 30th of this month, May, they've declared it Biafra Day, and they said no Igbo person should be seen out. If you're seen outside, you'll be shot on sight. That still boils down to this thing we're talking about. But they do that every year, but they've never been as radical as they are this year.
They will shoot you.
Yes, on sight. So,
I beg, let's focus on this one. Security agencies should go and handle that.
I personally do not believe that this is the work of IPOB.
Oh.
I personally don't believe it.
Okay, interesting.
For you to, I just sent you something on WhatsApp. I know your phone is on airplane mode.
Yeah.
It is supposedly a letter from a senior police officer alerting the IG that I got it this morning, and I'm trying to get my source to confirm for me how authentic it is. And in this letter, they're basically saying that there are plans to attack Plateau State and the FCT, and that the people who are coordinating these attacks are in Yobe and in the Sambusa Forest.
Oh.
So Sal, I sent you this so that I could make this point. No attack, no gunshot, no arson, no nothing happens in Nigeria without somebody knowing who it is. Now, there's no attack that goes on for a period of time without the government knowing who is responsible. All this talk of unknown gunmen, unknown vigilante, is just crap. You remember when we first brought this issue up? I think it was when police stations started getting attacked. I quoted one senior member of the Ohanese in Igbo who was saying that the DSS knows, the government knows who is responsible for these things. It is very convenient to call them unknown gunmen or armed men. So what is happening is a systemic move or shift of insecurity from the north to a rather peaceful southern region. If you need enough, now the only thing that will stop Nigeria from having elections is chaos across across the whole country. Some of the media from the southwest have already started calling the southeast, saying there's anarchy in the southeast and whatnot. So it is only that plan that I can see in action. Anything that will unsettle a certain region enough for them to not be able to vote. Who does that serve?
The government.
If a state of emergency, that, by the way, that's what I would have done. That's what Obasanjo did in his time. That's what Jonathan did as well. I don't know why Buhari has not done that yet. As this continues, the argument for a state of emergency in the southeast and some parts of the south will become stronger. When that happens, it means military rule will be imposed in those places. The governor, the State House of Assembly dissolved automatically. Now,
just in those regions.
Yes, just in those regions. Now, what that does for our elections yet, we do not know. We've not gone into an election with certain states in state of emergency. You understand? My problem with this is, for a long period of time, the Southeast was very quiet, was very peaceful. Secession or no secession, the Southeast was not known for this kind of weekly, daily.
Even when whatever was going on in the North,
we know where in Nigeria we used to have daily reports of chaos. All of a sudden, it looks as if this part and this part have been brought to the same level. It is not possible, sir, for you to plan an attack, go out, burn, destroy property without the government knowing. I would ask the government to tell us what they know about this thing. I will ask them to stop using unknown gunmen, because at the end of the day, they will turn around and say, But look at it now: 30 INEC offices, police stations, policemen killed, blah blah blah. State of emergency, and the way the southern governors are going, if not for this this meeting that I am really happy that they were able to hold, I don't think they'll be able to defend anything. Now, South in a position where the South cannot vote.
Wow. So on the midnight of Sunday, the Nigerian Labour Congress, alongside other labor unions, began a 5-day warning strike in Kaduna to protest against the anti-workers policies by the Governor El-Rufai state government. They also commenced a peaceful protest on Monday morning, calling on the governor to reverse some of the sacks he had made and to abort plans to carry out more planned sack of workers in the state. The governor of the state did not take this democratically, as he described the protesters as criminals and likened them to bandits, kidnapping innocent citizens and vowing to deal with them, and also not to go back on any of his decisions made. He even went ahead to sack more workers who participated in the strike action. So, Herokwa, I just need you to react right now, to Governor El-Rufai's response to the labor strike in his state. You took note of his response, the way he reacted to everything. What did you think about his behavior?
I think it's typical.
What you mean?
I think that's one thing that we will get from Nasser. We know how he will respond to certain kinds of things.
Yeah. Did you think that was a good behavior displayed by him for a governor?
It's very undemocratic.
Yeah.
It's very undemocratic. And what is undemocratic for me is his response to labor, not the sack. I'm not commenting on the sack.
We're addressing the labor part now. They were making demands, they were protesting, and he kept making statements. He even sacked more people, he called them criminals as well. So that's what I want us to address.
So I think that aspect is, as you said, undemocratic. And I don't think that Nasser is a strong believer in democracy and whatnot. So
you don't think he's a strong what?
Believer in democracy.
Okay.
Yeah, he has always never liked people telling him what he has done wrong and whatnot. So
you are in a democratic system of government. When you're in Rome, you behave like the Romans.
That's how it's supposed to be. That's how it's supposed to be. But we know teen gods when we see them. So,
Mr. Houston, what did you think of Governor El-Rufai's behavior and comments towards the labor or in response to their demands?
I think El-Rufai's actions, I think his conduct actually just exudes unprofessionalism and reckless apathy for the people of Kaduna State, because clearly he doesn't have the plight of his people at heart. He doesn't identify with the plight of the people of this country, let alone people of his state. Because when you hear him talk, when you hear him tweet, everything he says is just anti-people. He's an anti-people person. So, like Henry said, it's typical of him. My only fear is that El-Rufai might vie for another position tomorrow, and some stupid people who sympathize with him might still put him in there. And it's going to be disastrous for us to have El-Rufai in an elected position again, because this is not the first time El-Rufai is being El-Rufai. He's done this in the past. He's done it subsequently. He's been doing things like this, and people keep saying it. But somehow, the guy's had an upward trajectory in his political career, and I think he could still go higher with the number of dumb Nigerians we have. So for me, if it doesn't affect me, I have nothing to say about what El-Rufai is saying.
What do you think he could have done? How do you think he could have done this different?
See, it's NLC for crying out loud. Address the people. NLC is not a group of mad people. These are workers for crying out loud. You should appreciate your laborers. Even in the Bible that I live and I abide by, every laborer deserves his wage. And when I'm talking about deserving his wage, it's not even like a consistent particular amount of wage. If there's inflation, if there's anything that doesn't favor the economy and the currency goes down, I think a laborer deserves increments in wage. Value added service, if it gives you value added service, it deserves increments. Whatever happens, if there should be progression in every laborer's earnings. And if people are coming out to say this is their problem, you're firing them without due notification and without reasons given for it. I mean, come on, you should be able to identify with the people's plight. This is NLC. He said something, he said sacking people. Please, could you read that part where he said something about sacking people that are not that are not
No,
fit.
we've not gotten
sorry.
there. Like that's the second bit I was going to get in. So I just wanted you guys right now to react to his response to Labour. You know, calling Labour criminals. I felt like he was speaking like a very proud person. You know, even if you want to take certain actions,
I said this before.
I believe you should just still be respected.
They say if you want to
deliver,
if you want to kill a dog, you give it a bad name. El-Rufai likened our Labour Congress to bandits.
Yeah.
So that's I think that's the height of it. That speaks for itself. It shows what El-Rufai is actually driving at. He gives them a bad name and he goes after them. But funny enough, I think just move on, I beg. It's El-Rufai.
If you were Governor El-Rufai, what could you have done differently in terms of your response to Labour? You know, it's one thing for us to say, okay, he didn't do it in a good way. How could he have done it that could have been more accepting to us, the people?
What I'm about to say is probably going to make a lot of people angry.
Okay.
And since El-Rufai entered office, I've not agreed with him on so many of his policies. But this policy, this particular one, I agree with him 100%, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah, we've not got into policy though. We're talking
It's
the
a policy
response.
it is the policy that is feeding.
No, the way, like calling them criminals.
No, well,
What could he have done in that circumstance?
Nasir was talking like a dictator that he is inside. And whether we are going to spend time talking about how he responded to Labour or not, he's never going to change. He's never going to change. You saw him under the Obasanjo administration. You saw him in the build-up to the election. Nasir. Kaduna people voted him, knowing before he came in, they used to call him Meruso. What it means, Meruso means demolisher. He knew what they were calling, what they were bringing into office. You understand?
They just meant like physical, you know, the way you transform Abuja, come and demolish and rebuild, you know, Kaduna State.
I'm sorry
and
that
whatnot.
they didn't do their research completely.
Anyway, let me get to the other half, which I think you guys want to rush into. You know, Henry is already saying, I'm sorry, I'm gonna, you know. So, in one of the statements he released, he raised the following arguments to back his decision to sack the workers, which they were protesting against and whatnot. So, this is what Governor El-Rufai said, part of his statement. He said, what the strike is about is to answer fundamental questions. The first of which is this: should an employer keep persons of poor education, inadequate skills, qualifications, and bad work attitude in employment, whether he likes it or not? And he says our answer in Kaduna State is in the negative. So he says no. So he continues to say, we as the employer are in a contract of employment with the employee. If he is not up to scratch, you know, if he's not up to scratch, we will let him go. And that is included in our contract of service. So my question to you guys, you know, imagine, you're already on it. Yeah, so imagine you guys are CEOs right now. You know, you have employees that are, let me list what he said, yeah? They have poor education, inadequate skills and qualifications, bad work attitude in employment. We go to some of these ministries, NYSC offices. They are served those people come by 11.
So you're saying
before they even answer you, they will eat their rice.
You're saying that
you know, wait till they will eat their rice, drag their legs. Some don't even come to offices properly. There's no discipline in some of those places. Let's remove sentiment. Whether you like El-Rufai, whether you don't like him or not. Because we talked about the first sack one time when he sacked the workers. But then he did not give, the reason he gave then, he said that the cost of governance was becoming too expensive.
That was the announcement that the sack
was coming. It was coming. But the reason he gave then was different from what he's saying now. He said the cost of governance is what he raised. Then was too much. To me, it depends on how you see it. He saw it earlier and he said cost of governance, I did not agree. When he came up with this one as an employer, I have a different take, but you guys go.
So first of all, Nasir is not just firing civil servants. He's firing his essays as well. That's one thing we need to understand.
People fire their essays every day.
No, calm down. Now, he's cutting government waste as much as he can, and he is trying to reform the civil service. So let me just try and breeze through what the statistics
The alleged
say.
dictator is trying to reform the civil service. In your opinion?
We've had different dictators over time that have actually what's his name? Rawlinson of Ghana was a dictator.
Yeah, but we could have a good dictator.
And yes, you can actually.
Okay.
You can actually. Now, in Kaduna State, the workforce is about 100,000 people strong. 100,000 people strong are drawing on almost, that the wage bill is more than, if you put allowances and overhead, is more than the FAC allocation to Kaduna State.
How were the previous governments surviving though? Like, who put them there now? The government put them there.
Hold on.
Why are they blaming it on the people? Go on though. But
now, this 100,000 people form 1.43% of the Kaduna population.
Okay.
1.43.
Whose fault?
I like the fact that you're asking that. Yeah. Now, 98.57 people are not going to have access to the FAC money because wage bill. Because when the money comes in, the state government must pay, and Kaduna has not delayed payment of salaries. Do you understand? Now, once that FAC money is paid, do you know where the rest of the people will get money for the security, the roads, and waiting, IGR, taxes, and blah, blah, blah. It is still not enough. Kaduna has done very well since 2015 to raise its, its IGR, surpassing Kano, even in the face of this pandemic.
Yeah, but they can do more though.
Yes, they can do more. But Sal, before you can do more, something has to give. Now, a lot about the civil service. You have just explained how your experience with the NYSC and whatnot. Yeah. It is what we experience on a daily basis anytime we interact with government officials. It is the same thing that we get. Either director has not come by 2, he comes in and then immediately they see he has gone to pray and he has gone from there. He's not going to come back. You understand? Now, that's why I was saying earlier that this is linked to that, is that not only are these people drawing on so much resources, the capacity for them to actually form the bedrock of Kaduna State's reformation, if we will call it that, they don't have it, they lack it. Have you gone now? I understand that you may have seen civil servants in Abuja. Civil servants at the state level are a different breed, sir. Different breed. Because they understand the difficulty of you activating maybe Servicom or any other thing that's supposed to bring them to do their job. Yeah? Baba, you go buy rice, tire. You will buy food. What are you saying?
Okay, wait. Let me cut you short here and then you go on. This is Governor El-Rufai's second term in office. If he was doing this as soon as he came to power, well, maybe I'll be like, okay, this is very new because you're coming to a new system. You are saying that, let's look at the workforce. Why is he doing it now? Why is he just realizing this now?
Okay, so let me explain.
How much time does he have to actually restructure the state before he leaves office?
We can argue that. It's supposed to be a continuum. Under Ramalan Yero, especially under Yero, who was El-Rufai's predecessor, a lot of employments were done like that. A lot of them were done without even the person applying, doing any test, doing anything at all. Do you understand? Because that was the easiest way for government to say, come, I've given you a job. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, it is no longer sustainable, sir. When you consider the fact that COVID has affected the world is changing. The face of the world is changing. We are battling with getting the right amount of barrels of crude oil exported for us to get any kind of money. FAC allocations are their all-time low. You understand? Now, in the face of those kind of things, Sal, you must come back home and ask yourself, even you do the same thing. You check your phone sometimes and say, where am I spending the most bandwidth? Yeah? You now look at this app, and why does this app take this? Maybe if you don't like the app, you delete the app.
Yeah, but in that instance, I will blame myself, though.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's like we're faulting these people.
So what I'm saying is that Nasir did not hire these people. We know for a fact.
Government did. Was it government we're calling right now? Kaduna State government.
I'm going to drop my points. I'm going to finish this thing with 2 points now. Okay. One is that it is patronage that drives civil service employment. Yeah. It is not competence. Yeah. The second one is that if not now, when? That's what I want to ask. If not now, when? Now, when Nasser entered in 2015, he set up the Kaduna State Bureau of Statistics. What this has done, among all the states, now Kaduna is where I grew up. Kaduna is the only state that is highly aligned on SDGs. You get now for you to be able to get SDGs, even the UN recommends that you have to look at your spending pattern to be able to provide water, healthcare, education, security. You understand what I'm saying? Power, infrastructure, and whatnot. You can't do that if all the money that the federal government sends to you, you're using it to pay salaries and overhead costs. It is impossible.
But at some point, Oqua, I want you to blame the state government for the entire mess.
Yeah, I agree.
They need to.
Okay,
that's where I feel their delivery to the people, at least, even if you have to let go of these people, the way you now let go of them, taking some responsibility, you deliver them in a more palatable manner. You still let them go, but this is where I'm letting you go. I feel the whole approach was bad. You want to do something, you're in a state, you need to fix things right now, but come on, man, they didn't get themselves there now. Is it their fault that when they applied, they got the jobs in the previous administration? That's not their fault. In their minds, they felt they were qualified, and that's why they got the jobs. And you're just coming out right now to tell me I have poor education. Did you not know that I had poor education before you employed me?
So in the civil service, if we are being honest, before you get your job description, now I'm talking of even people who are working in parastatals like FIRS, before you get your job description, you must know somebody. You must know somebody for them to say, listen, on a day-to-day basis, this is what you do. Now, 20% of the people in the civil service, that's how they got their job description. In fact, it is 20% of the civil service, I dare to say, let anybody come out and debunk what I'm saying. It is 20% of the people in the civil service that are getting any actual work done. Only 20%. So what is the use of that bloated workforce? What is the use of it?
Anyway, I still agree if you're not efficient, because some of these workers, if you're not productive, please, I fire you. There's no sentiments. But Mr. Houston,
just like I rightly said before, El-Rufai is somebody who has proven to be to have so much disdain for people that are beneath him from time. This is not the first time he's actually shown this. If this is El-Rufai's second term in office, and you're telling me it is no longer sustainable paying people, we've come to understand that Nigeria is a place that, whether you like it or not, due to our proliferating population, Nigeria is a place where you don't just fire people like that, especially in the civil service. Because when you fire them, what are you creating? You're sending people home without jobs.
Mr. Houston, let me cut you there. Should it matter?
Yes, it should matter.
No, if we have to put sentiments aside, if somebody is not efficient on their job and they get fired, what's my business? I feel like if you want to keep your job, no, wait right now, because there are some people on these jobs that were not fired. So why are you among the people that were fired? No, I have to look at it as an employer. Why should I consider what you're going to do after I fire you? No, go on though. No, I'm trying to play devil's advocate, but go on.
You were right. Henry was right to say in the Nigerian civil service, most times 20% of the people are the ones that get the work done. The remaining 80% come and mess things up, 20% clean up after them. We know all of these things that go in the civil service. But you know why people don't get fired from the civil service? First of all, you have a horde of people in the civil service. You have millions of people in this place, both state level and federal level and common. Now, what you do is, if people aren't efficient, these people were employed by previous administration. These people have seen the civil service as the way the civil service is structured in Nigeria is something where people expect to climb. They've seen themselves in so many years. Some of them are not even going to retire at the cardinal age of 60. Some of them are going to retire before then. Some of them, due to when they entered. But now, people in civil service already have a plan. I think there are two things I expected El-Rufai to have done. If people weren't efficient, it's this simple. If people weren't efficient enough, train and retrain people. It's your job. That's
while
one.
Paying them.
That's one. Secondly, if paying people is not sustainable
they have to train you to be
my
efficient.
God, Sal, see, honestly, this is getting me really, really riled up. If you cannot pay these people, if you say it's not sustainable, then El-Rufai should be championing, should be among the governors championing restructuring, because that's the problem we have in the country. That is the same problem we have. How much does Kaduna State generate for Nigeria? What does Kaduna State contribute to the country? This is the same restructuring. It still boils down to restructuring. You don't just fire people and send them to their houses. These people have kids. I'm against firing people of any that's under any ramification. I don't want to even know. How do you fire people? Now, if you fire 20,000 people,
is that personal or is
it is not personal? It is not personal. It's what I see. It is Nigeria. Don't judge Nigeria by American standards or anywhere with regards to this particular issue, civil service. Do you know how many people have in the civil service in Nigeria? After Dangote or even before Dangote and the Nigerian civil service are the highest employer of labor in Nigeria, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, but my argument...
We know some people do not do anything in the civil service.
Yeah, but
fine. I'm not endorsing that behavior. What do you now do? Some of these people have kids that they're training. Some of them have kids that they're training to learn to be things.
That's why you should go to the office and work more.
Listen. Go to the office and work more. Some of them do not even know what to do. Some of them don't even know what to do. Just like you rightly said, some of these people came in by phone call, come in and work. You don't even know what your job description is. Isn't it proper now that you train these people?
No, you don't know what to do, but you have the mind to go to work every day.
And collect salary when you collect
salary. Bro, will they put honey in your mouth and you spit it out?
What?
Will they put honey in your mouth and you spit it out?
I have somebody that was in an office and she used to come and complain to me that there was nothing for her to do, and she would go to the boss and ask,
do you know how I work?
Hey, I need something.
You're talking about NYC workers. Now I'm talking about call members now. NYC call members. These are prospective workers, prospective civil servants or whatnot. These are people who have gone to school to study. What do coppers do in Nigeria?
I was not talking about coppers.
No. Me now, I want to talk about coppers now. What do they fucking do in Nigeria? Most coppers don't even do anything. I was a tutor, I was teaching. But I saw my colleagues some of them were not even teaching, they were just earning and sitting down. So it's a culture, it's already inside, it's in the system, it's in some people's, it's inbred. Now it's your responsibility to train people. You must train people. If you're in a position of employment, if you're to employ people, then you must train people, let them know their job descriptions. If you know they're ineffective, with the way Nigeria is right now, you can't just fire people. You know you're creating kidnappers. The kidnappers that are kidnapping people, some of them are even old men. You saw people they were linking this boy that kidnapped Imei, they were linking his father with him. His father is 60, he's a retired person, he's even a retiree from Ministry of Health in Abuja here. They were living in Abuja here. Now he has gone back, he started a kidnapping rate for ritual killing. When people are out of job, what do you expect them to do? So this is Nigeria. You must consider certain things. There's something. Listen, there's something. A wise man once told me something. 1 minute. A wise man once told me something that before you fire people, sometimes you must consider so many things, especially your security guards. You don't fire your security guards. Now, this is not security we're talking about. But when he told me this thing, I just saw the entire concept of firing people. Before you fire people, sometimes there's a way you can actually fire people, and people will actually kiss your ring, your gold ring, and say, "Thank you, sir. It was a pleasure working with you." You don't just drop 20,000 people and now you're coming back to tell us that it's because of their bad work ethic. After initially you told us why you fired them, you fired 20 people because come on, please, I beg.
Anyway, let's move on, man, because this there are different takes on this matter. You know, we're just gonna see it differently. But at the end of the day, I want people to have jobs. You know, I want people to be able to feed their families, but I still want people to earn their salaries. I want us to be productive. Nigerians, we have to start getting to that space where we want to work. We don't just want easy and free money. You know, so I'm looking at it from the both sides. Like, don't go there and just be relaxed and collecting the money and feel satisfied. There are some people that go to offices that when there's no work to do, they cannot relax. They can't be there. Some will even quit that job and go somewhere where they can be productive. And the fact that you lose one job doesn't mean, like, if you really know what you have and what you carry, you will be sure that you will get another job.
No, you're right. You're very correct. When Buhari came into office first, a lot of Nigerians were happy. Those of them who were very functional in their organizations and coming. A lot of them who were very functional in their civil service positions were very happy. They were like, yes, all the rot in the system, because Baba discipline is coming in, all the rot in the system is going to clear up. Those people that don't work, those people that leave work every Friday in the name of prayers, they leave at as early as 2 o'clock and they don't come back again. All those nonsense is going to stop. People were happy. And quite alright. The first thing I saw when Buhari entered office was, I saw people reaching, it was all over the news, that Ministry of Social and so people got to work as early as 7, people got to work as early as 8. But for how long did it last? We thought this was going to be the new system, this was going to be the status quo. Now let me tell you why it is not a person's fault if he was inexperienced, undereducated, and got this job. Whether you like it or not, the number of desperate Nigerians are more than the number of Nigerians that are not desperate. You have lots of desperate Nigerians, and you call somebody. That's why I give you the analogy of putting honey in your mouth if you spit it out. You have somebody who's in the house who's desperate for a job or something, or just needs a living, and you give him a job. He doesn't know his job description. Typical civil service work. He comes in and he sees that it is like the typical old NEPA office. You just come down and sit down, or you count number of files every day. And at the end of the day, you get paid. He will continue doing that. It's easy for him. He has an easy work. You've not told him his job description. Now, if the directorate changes and the board of whatever changes, the board changes, and a new board comes in. First of all, you understand this person is not handicapped. This person is very able. This person can actually do this thing if he gets a certain amount of training. In all fairness, I'm not talking about going Hitler style and firing people. Because if you're firing people, you're creating another group of people somewhere. Now, is it not typical that you say, okay, come, this is what you do. I don't like things to be run like this. This is not how we run this organization. We are actually trying to achieve something. Train these people, and not train, you train and retrain these people. Now, when you must have trained them, and you see that some of them are just blatantly, flagrantly, whatever, inefficient. What did you do?
Let me cut you short.
What did you do?
You're talking about the government that is saying right now that they have less funds. So you're talking more about training. I feel like it was the easiest.
That was why I said restructuring them.
You look at the entire system to say, okay, who are the weakest links here? We are trying to save money.
And that was why
the weakest links.
And that was why I said.
that before those teachers were fired, they were actually given assessments. Do you know that? Before the teachers were fired. Do you know, hold on now, the structure of the firing part was the bottom percentile. That's what El-Rufai fired in Kaduna State. The people who could not score 20% were the ones that he fired. So it's not as if the ones that scored 25% are not still there. Do you understand?
But 20,000.
No, listen right now. Herod mentioned teachers. These are people that are going to train the leaders of tomorrow. They talk about nurses as well. These are people that will treat people in the hospitals. I don't think we should compromise when it comes to those categories of people.
Exactly.
We should not be sentimental about it, in my opinion. You know, if a teacher, you cannot teach, please go. You can go and do something else. That's why I said, if you're sure of yourself, you're sure of what you carry, you'll be confident to leave that position where you know you're inefficient
now
and go somewhere where you will be efficient.
Okay, talk about funds now. Tell me about funds. What's your solution if the funds actually, because you know one thing, it's Nigeria. If the funds are low today, it will get lower tomorrow. So talk about funds now.
I don't know, that's not my business.
Okay, now, this is my point now. This is my point now. People are calling for restructuring. El-Rufai is not calling for restructuring. See why this thing boils down to restructuring at the end of the day again. It still comes down to restructuring. It has a lot to do with restructuring. It is still the same federal government that is overstretched. It is still the same federal government that's claiming to be overstretched. They have the funds. They disburse this fund every month to these states. Now, you're saying it is no longer sustainable. Wouldn't it be easier and better for Kaduna State to know the amount of people to employ, the amount of efficient people to employ, if Kaduna State actually generates its own fund, manages its own fund? Wouldn't it be better? That's far-reaching if you ask me.
Those are other issues that should be sorted out. We need to
tying it to restructuring is a bit far-fetched. The links are not clear because there are areas that under a restructured Nigeria, for example, local government staff, they're not under the state government. You understand? So it's a different ball game. I get where you're going with the restructuring thing, but it's the link is not very strong. You get?
And it's not an immediate solution as well.
And where we are, Houston, I wish more states will execute it like this. Now the reason why I'm even listening to El-Rufai's stuff, Kaduna has been transformed systemically. Now, it is the kind of thing of we want to build 10 schools. We know where we are putting the schools. We know that we are putting them here because in these places, children under the age of so and so are not getting enough education. That's how Kaduna has been operating. You understand? Okay, we are putting solar panels here. The reason we are putting it here is because they have so and so amount of daylight, blah, 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 the grid, blah, 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 their consumption and whatnot. That's how Kaduna has been making its decisions. You get? Now, I'm not a fan of El-Rufai. But when I see governance the way I would like to see it in Nigeria, informed decisions, you understand? I'm a sucker for that, honestly.
Anyway, let's move. So, the governor of Benue State, Samuel Otom, described as evil the removal of history as a subject from secondary and primary schools curriculum by the federal government. He said, and I quote, "We must know our history, we must know how we came here, we must know when we sojourn here, we know and know people that came to join us. We must know what happened in 1800. All these are very important. If we do not do it, we have failed as a generation and posterity will not forgive us." So basically, I think the federal government has banned history as a subject in secondary and primary schools. Do you think history should be banned? Or why do you think history should still be taught it's important that we continue to teach the future generations the history about Nigeria, because the federal government does not think so.
I think,
especially in schools. In schools, do you think the schools are responsible?
I think it's a government policy.
Yeah.
It's a policy from the Ministry of Education and whatnot. And I think it was even a while back.
It was a while back. Then they brought it back, and now they're banned it.
Now, I think it is important. It was Bob Marley that said, if you don't know where you're coming from, then you cannot figure out where you're going. You know, a lot of us have.
Do you believe in that saying?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do. A lot of us have a warped understanding of what Nigeria is, what Nigeria has done, or who has played what role in Nigeria. I've been taking a lot of Nigerian history lessons recently. There's an account on YouTube that has these old videos with close to the closest to objective that have objective view.
I have to watch that one. I think it's better than reading it.
I'll share the link with you. Now, the truth about it is we need to be able to recognize who the villains and the heroes in our story as a country have been. Our dance with this masquerade dance we're dancing with history is because we are afraid of the truth. We are not ready by ourselves. One region is not ready to come to the other one and say we have done bad to you. That's what's going on here. Do you understand? Now, what you're trying to remove from history, you are giving the child a bit of it in social studies, and then the child is like wondering, so what happened there? For him to find out what happened, he has to go to history. Now, we have another problem with the press being too happy to put certain people, man of valor, man of timber and caliber and whatnot. Meanwhile, we are talking about crooks here. Do you understand? Now, in a society where we have that kind of dishonesty, I think history is important. I think let the people learn the history
and decide
for themselves. Yeah. Look at the pride with which young kids in America recite the presidents that they've had, or the states and their capitals and whatnot. All of these things are part of our history. So you want to tell kids now that from the beginning Nigeria has 36 states? No, don't lie. If we don't know where we are coming from, we will not know where we are going to. There was a time that we was northern and southern protectorates. Yeah. There was a time that we had emirs in this place and obas and obis and whatnot leading different places. So we need to understand where we have come from. We need to understand our context before we realize where we are going to. I feel like if history itself does not come back, it may be a long stretch, but if we cannot restate history in our secondary schools, why are we bothering with restructuring? Why are we bothering with it? Because there's a basis for us asking to restructure. That basis is hidden in our history. If you don't want the younger ones to learn that history, we are most likely not going to see restructuring in our own time. How would they fight it? How would they get it?
Mr. Hisen, do you support the ban of history?
Historian himself.
If you think history should not be banned, do you think it should be the responsibility of schools to teach children history, or should it be the responsibility of parents to teach the history of the country to their children? Or should it be both? Whose responsibility should it be on? And do you support this move?
It is going to be. It's a very consequential statement for anybody to ask for history to be banned.
Yeah, but it's been banned though.
Well, it's going to be very detrimental to our to us as Nigerians trying to project our future. But then that's, by the way, what is not history? This podcast we're doing is history. When you do it, you post it online for people to see what we talked about last week. That's history. Your records, medical records, that's history. When you go to a doctor, what does he ask you? He wants to see records of your pre-existing whatever it is that you have. That's history. Everything is history. The news, the media, everything we talk about is history. We'll call it international relations. Let me tell you something nobody tells you. International relations, what are you studying? International relations. Many of them didn't know got a master's from Base University in international relations. It's always international. It is history. International relations is just to twitch it up. You learn history from year one, from 101 till the final 401. It's history. Everything we learn is history. What do you do when you go to school? You're studying law. All you do is probably regurgitating things, theories people have written, cases from the past. That's history. So now, history proper now as a course. George Bush studied history before even going to fight, before joining the Marines. Ojukwu studied history up till master's level in Oxford University. So I think it is either people who are scared of how they're going to look in the future, or how people will tell their stories in the future, that are asking for a ban in history, or because of how the Nigerian educational system has treated the course history. That's probably why anybody will ask that history should be. Come on, who doesn't like stories? Don't you listen to your history? Is just the word history is actually from a Greek word, historia. A story. That's what it means. A story, and everything we do has a story. What are we talking about? History. All the topics we're talking about is the history of the week. So it is history. Whether it is 10 years ago, we just assume, all we do is we just assume when we hear history, we assume it's 19 whatever, centuries or so. See, anything that happens yesterday is history by today.
And it should be important.
It is imperative. Yeah. It is super important that everybody should have history. And let me tell you, the difference between every other history and history as a cause is history as a cause documents them with facts and figures, with dates, with proper articulation. That is why it is a lot more important. We don't want tomorrow somebody come out and say, I know very, very well, you like to put allegedly in things because of things you're not very sure about. Yeah. But when you have history, you talk about these things. You articulate these things with facts because you are sure of it.
You back it up with evidence.
When they said this person killed Kudirat Abiola, you come out and say, in 1996, Kudirat Abiola was shot by people that were sent by Sosuna, because you're talking from history. And the facts are there. So when you stop teaching it, people will get away with a lot of stuff. So I think history is very important. If we must project our future as a country, then history is
at this
very
time
imperative.
where there's so much division. So imagine we don't teach history, then the young people don't understand what's going on. Why is there so much agitation? Why do these people want to go this way? Why is the country not in unison?
Sorry, one more thing. Somebody called recently, our last topic, somebody called for a regional system. That we should go back. Remember, he said we should go back. The government, the president should temporarily hand over power to the military, and we should go back to the regional system. Going back, it's history is talking about, because we were once at the regional system, like Henry rightly said. Nigeria didn't just start with 36 states. We were once in the regional system.
We didn't just have democracy.
Thank you. So now somebody was actually tapping into that history that we had. So I mean, history is rich. Nobody should get rid of it, I beg.
All right. So I'm just going to get to our final topic. We have 5 minutes to finish this one, yeah?
Okay.
So the Nigerian Communications Commission has stated, this actually happened today, has stated that all Nigerians will have to submit their the International Mobile Equipment Identity, that's the MEI, of their mobile phones to it from July 2021. The NCC said this in its revised National Identity Policy for SIM card registration. So I'm going to read the statement from NCC. So NCC said, with the aim to curtail the counterfeit mobile phone market, discourage mobile phone theft, enhance national security, protect consumer interest, increase revenue generation for the government, reduce the rate of kidnapping, mitigate the use of stolen phones for crime, and facilitate blocking or tracing of stolen mobile phones. You guys laughing. And other smart devices. Come on, man. Listen to they're building the argument here. Also, people don't just come out to say, oh, they want our number. They want all our numbers. So one of the means to achieve this, as the NCC statement saying, is through the deployment of device management system. So the statement goes on to say that the implementation of a centralized equipment identity register, otherwise known as device management system, will serve as a respiratory for keeping records of all registered mobile phones, international mobile equipment identity, and owners of such devices. So the bottom of the statement says that IMEIs that have been reported either stolen or illegal will be shared through the DMS, which is the device management system, to all operators and service providers. So this is Pantami's parastatal or whatever, you know. So apart from the NIN, National Identification Number, they're asking for the IMEIs now, and BVN, like they're asking for these numbers now. So the social media was actually on fire today, like everybody's just angry, like why are they asking us for this number? I heard people saying invasion of privacy, why do they need this number? They already have the NIN, they already have BVN, they already have national identification, like why are they looking for, like most Nigerians are scared, especially the ones that are not very educated, people just read this news and believe whatever they believe from it, they start panicking. And let's not forget that the honorable minister that heads this commission, his accusation for terrorism, allegedly, alleged links with terrorists or terrorism, so I think it's understandable when people are panicking, they don't really understand. But the government is backing it right now and saying we need this number to curtail crime. Henry Oqua, do you agree with this move, or do you think this is getting out of hand?
Which crime? I think it's boredom. Like when you are a dunce and you don't have what to do, you make up things and then you expect that other people are dull like you. So they'll now look at you and clap for you because you want to gather IMEI. IMEI, that every website you visit has that information. Check the next website that you go to and you see cookies waiting.
Of your phone?
Anywhere you visit. Listen, the way the internet works is, you accept if you have gone behind that protocol. Everybody has an identity on the internet.
Yeah.
There are people that use VPNs and switch where they are, jump from one continent to the other. That's fine and whatnot. Those people are doing high level stuff. Regular Nigerians, 90% of us, what we do is that we go and visit the website. All our information, the website has. Check the cookies that you accept now. Sorry. In 2011, maybe 12, I think, an Israeli company called Elbit was hired by the Jonathan administration to install the infrastructure for monitoring phone conversations, for monitoring everything that happens on the internet and via mobile networks.
Yeah.
Jonathan did not leave office with it. He left it there in the villa. $40 billion was spent on that thing, if I remember clearly.
40 what?
About 40 billion. 18 million or $40 billion. It was an Israeli agency that did that thing for Nigeria. Nigerians shouted about it for all of 1 week or so, and then that thing was gone. That infrastructure is still there. So, as I said earlier, when he dons things that he has stumbled upon gold, he will try to make it look as if everybody come and see gold. So this is.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, though, this is not going to stress Nigerians. Like they're saying, everybody must from July. Everybody has to come and line up right now to submit their numbers.
Line up where? I dare them. I will not submit it. I'm saying it on the show. I will not submit my IMEI number. I won't submit it. Rubbish. MTN app that I use has my IMEI number. What are you talking about?
You say the government should go and collect it from wherever the stuff
when
is.
you put a new SIM in your phone, doesn't it tell you that it's a new SIM that you have put?
Yeah.
So what are you talking about? As long as you have, you don't even need internet access for your phone provider to know what phone you are using.
But I like this information. I like the information you're giving now, though, especially for those Nigerians that are panicking that, this number is one special number that nobody has, or the federal government wants to take the number to hack our phone and kill us and blah, blah. Like, I've just seen a lot of comments today. I'm like, okay.
It's just busybody. Yeah. Don't mind them. It's just busybody. If they say if they put gun on your head and say you should come and give them, go and give them. But me, I'm not giving.
It's like this thing. Like, your face is so serious. It's like you have a different take on this. Please, attack.
What do you mean? What do you mean attack?
I don't know. What do you mean? You're so serious.
Attack.
Go on.
Anyway, first of all, the International Mobile Equipment Identity, IMEI, is something that comes with every phone, I believe. Yes. I do not think the government should have to ask us for it. This is like very soon they start asking us for our clothes. Like bring one clothes you have so we can have your DNA. Mm-hmm. See,
or bring your hair strand.
Exactly. Or bring your hair strand to NCC. I kind of like how
we need to fight criminals in this country.
I kind of like how people's gazettes put it. They said terrorist linked Pantami has. Yes, that's how they would say terrorist linked.
No, but if I put my title like that, you come and
honestly, I thought about you.
Accuse me.
I thought about you.
Tell me that I'm being unprofessional.
I thought about you when I said anyway. I said, oh, this is one of them.
Yes.
But no, it's not one of them. But anyway, it's actually
exactly.
Anyway, the thing is, I don't like the fact that the Nigerians that have had to go through so much poor Nigerians like us, we still have to fight this terrorism.
Some people have not done NIN, like, who am I not for?
Because do you understand that?
Yeah.
Do you understand that Nigerians are fighting? I mean, Nigerian citizens, civilians are fighting terrorism for this government. Do you understand? And the government, at the end of the day, by the end of everything, will still take the whole glory.
Not even the glory itself, they'll still come and press our neck on top.
They'll still press our neck on top. You did BVN, we didn't complain. You did NIN, we didn't complain. Even though people complained, but people still went ahead.
Yeah,
and indulged you.
Now, you know.
Now we are coming and asking for our IMEI. Please, when do we bring our boxers? When do we bring our DNA? When do we bring it? Because I need to know. It's like every day you come up with something new. I've never heard when it favors them, they say, even in America. Please, let's talk about America here. I've never heard of a situation where America will ask people to bring their privacy to you.
So you know the funny
My God.
You know the funny thing, this IMEI is not hidden inside the phone. So it's not hidden inside the phone. The packet of the phone that you buy
is there. It's outside.
So why don't they go to Banex and ask ask the boys there?
For everybody that
bring all the phones that you're yet to sell. Let us get down the IMEIs. Before people register their names to the IMEI. That makes more sense. Thank you for this. That makes more sense. Because right now you're asking Mr. Sal, bring your IMEI. His name is already there with his IMEI. So you have his data. When you want to kill him, it becomes easy for you to assassinate him. No. Go to where they sell the phones. Get the IMEIs before they become people's phones. Do you understand? Yeah. Before they become people's phones. Get those IMEIs.
It's start a process from the new.
Tell the people who sell phones, people who deal in phones.
I think they should stop disturbing Nigerians.
Like, do we have to fight terrorism for these guys?
Right now, prices of everything is so high. We are battling with even registering and linking. You register NIN, then you have to link it again. Then now come and bring IMEI.
Man, it's just too much. It's just too much. We have to fight for them. We have to do everything for these people.
Lord God,
and we're not even funded. These people are overfunded.
One day God is going to deliver us from Buhari and his people.
Anyway, we have come to the end of this episode. Thank you, gentlemen, for a great one today.
Thank you, Sal. Thank you, Harry.
I'm sorry for coughing through.
No, it's fine. It's fine. You're
please
recovering.
Get well soon.
You're recuperating from.
Anyway, thank you guys for joining us today. Please don't forget to subscribe to Page 36 TV on YouTube and like this video, share it. Please subscribe. Yeah, you guys are doing a great job. See you guys next week.